Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. This is Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and this is our Wednesday show for Ask Me Anything. This is live mentoring and coaching and whatever I can do to help and support you. Whatever topic you would like to talk about from life or work, you are welcome to put it in the live chat where it will show up on the screen, or you can send it anonymously to dcx.to/Q for question, and that will eventually show up in my email. Sometimes it is a little slow, but I am here to answer your questions and help you out in any way that I can. Sometimes we have questions people have sent in ahead of time, and we start out with those. Today, I do not have any questions ahead of time. So if you have a question on your mind or you have a topic you'd like me to discuss, send it in and you will be the first or among the first to get your answer. If we don't have anybody joining in the next few minutes who has a question or a discussion topic, we'll just wrap it up. No, this is not April Fool's. I do this every Wednesday. We've been doing it once a week for years. So, not April Fool's, real thing. Do it every week. Please join. And again, if you happen to send a question through dcx.to/Q and I get it after the stream is over, I will save it and we will answer it next week since I do this weekly. Yes, and no April Fool's jokes or pranks here. I don't believe in those. I don't believe in, I don't think that things at other people's expense are funny. And so, no April Fool's jokes or pranks here. Just another Wednesday. So I'll wait a few minutes and see if anybody has some questions or some topics you'd like me to discuss. Everything is welcome. Everything is fair game. It's ask me anything, and I take that quite literally. So totally up to you. Let's check if Dr. Nick is still available for next week. Okay. If nobody has any questions, I can certainly wrap up. I'll give it a few more minutes just in case people join a little bit late. But hello, this is Ask Me Anything. If nobody asks me anything, we have nothing to talk about. So this is the show whose quality depends on you. So what do you want to ask, or what topics are on your mind? I'm here for you. It's your office hours. And there's links next to me if you can see them. Lots of ways to join our online community, including completely free. You can go to dcx.to, just like that, and that will direct you to our refreshed community links page. You'll find our free Discord, our free Patreon, Medium articles, upcoming courses like Hands Up, who wants to learn how to use AI better, especially if you're AI curious or feel like your job depends on it. I'm teaching it. People tell me they want these things and then they don't sign up. I don't know what to tell you. Ana Lucia's having some dinner or an early snack. Hello. Sometimes we are overwhelmed with questions and sometimes we have nothing. So if there's no questions or discussion topics in the next few minutes, I will wrap up early today. I've got to stay awake late anyway today. I have a call in 4.5 hours, which is late for me, but that's fine. It's part of the pros and cons of doing some work on American hours and living in Europe. So, guess what? I will still choose living in Europe. I will stay up late and deliver quality. I haven't seen, I only saw one April Fool's joke today that was funny. And of course, it's always from vMix, the people who make the software I'm using to stream. This year, they pretended they found vMix installation floppy disks, and I thought that was cute. And they did a whole video pretending to find them and unbox them from another era. And again, nobody gets hurt, nobody's expense, boop, bop, a beep. So, Oh, dark patterns coming into my email. Dark patterns. Do not like. Uh, well, we'll give it 3 or 4 more minutes. If nobody has a topic, we'll just quietly end the stream and delete this one. No reason to archive it on YouTube when it was me waiting for a question. But it's okay if we have no questions. Totally okay. I am here for you, and if you don't need anything today, that's cool too. Um, yeah. What about LinkedIn? Let me open that up on my phone and see if we've got some humans there. Come on, humans on LinkedIn. There must be some. Is there human life on LinkedIn? Yes, I see some people watching live. Is there life on LinkedIn? Oh, have I seen Claude's blunder? Yes, I did. I even asked Claude about it, and we made some predictions about what would happen next because of it. Um, yeah, so, well, I guess that's a question we could talk about, though people are going to have to wait 7 minutes to see it. So I don't know if I can't, I don't think I can edit YouTube videos once they're up. So we'll just have to make a note. The questions get started 7 minutes in. Questions get started 7 or 8 minutes in. Skip ahead. So, yeah, so for those of you who don't know, somehow Anthropic, who makes Claude, accidentally exposed their source code. Evidently, 500,000 lines of it that was quickly grabbed by people and shared around the web. And that gave people basically a lot of core code that runs Claude. It included some internal information about some of the models. It included some unreleased features that they're planning on. And I doubt that this was a leak for marketing. Sometimes companies leak things for the marketing and to be talked about. I think this was a very bad mistake. And I think that Claude, we've just been talking a lot on this channel about how Anthropic really has a distinct advantage right now by um, being first to market with a lot of things that make Claude feel like more of a platform where a lot of things connect and a lot of things can get done. And I think OpenAI partially canceled Sora to go in that direction. Anna says, "Oh, it was only for Claude Code, fortunately, but something that shouldn't happen." Yeah, and Claude Code is a main product right now, eating a lot of companies' lunch. So it's definitely unfortunate for them that they exposed this. It certainly says a lot about cybersecurity and locking things down and the way that people find ways in to find uh, code or data. And I think about that a lot when people vibe code stuff and they go, well, I'm just going to vibe code it and then I'll launch it. And I go, okay, and who's doing anything related to cybersecurity on it? Who's going to make sure it can't be hacked? Who's going to make sure my password isn't exposed? Who's going to make sure your database isn't easy to find or copy? And then people are like, what? So, if Claude and other companies can get caught up in these things, certainly your vibe coded startup can weigh more easily. So I think it's multidimensionally concerning for Claude and Anthropic, but also I think a good reminder for everybody who thinks they just want to vibe code something and send it live, especially if it's going to collect people's any information as soon as it knows your phone number, email address, password, credit card, stuff like that. It's a database somebody is going to want a copy of so that that can be exposed. So many, many, a handful of years ago, we did a show on the other channel about bad actors and about how I think every company needs to be, you want to run workshops, you want to run team exercises, run my bad actor workshop and try to get ahead of these people. Try to predict what they're likely to do, what they'll try to break into, what they'll do with that data or what they find, and then make sure you've locked that down. So I think if you go to YouTube and you search Delta CX bad actor, it should come up, though I didn't check. But I invented a bad actor workshop a few years ago, and that's something that you can try or make your own variation of it. You never have to follow anything I'm doing exactly to the letter. You can treat it as a starting point. So, yeah. Uh, Anything that is exposed and hackable is a reminder that stuff is exposed and hackable, and a reminder that once it's out there, someone will make a copy of it, whether that's a screenshot of an image, a screenshot of a message, downloading data. You can't put that horse back in the barn, as they say. So I know Anthropic was having lawyers tell people to take it off the internet and stop giving it out. But then I saw someone else post on LinkedIn today who was, or at least said they were, I didn't do too much digging, said they were a lawyer related to technology stuff. And they said, here's the weird thing: the files make it look like a lot of Claude code was made by Claude, I guess based on instructions from humans. But this person tried to say that current US copyright laws might not even protect Claude code because it wasn't made with enough human involvement, and that things made by AI aren't copyrightable. I didn't get that whole thing. I might be getting that wrong or misinterpreting that, but that's another thing for people to remember and to look into and to make sure they understand. You vibe code something, who owns that? How much humanity has to be involved for that to be your copyrighted work? I don't know the answer to that, and this is probably still a gray and changing area that we have to keep looking into. Ana Lucia says that's a misinterpretation of the law. The law says AI art isn't copyrightable, just art. Yeah, and again, I haven't looked this stuff up, so I don't know the correct answer here. I don't know which of these. I know a few things about copyrights, and I'm usually comfortable talking about copyrights, but in this case, I'm not up on the latest precedents or law related to what about AI is copyrightable and what isn't. The art makes sense. Um, oh, excuse me, and I have to stay up for hours more for this call. Oh, yeah, it's an interesting question, and we just have to keep understanding that this is changing, and we have to keep researching it. Um, Ana Lucia says, I know AI art was recently talked about because there was a massive outrage online when an official statement came out. I think it was last week. An official statement came out from who? I might have missed this. I try not to read a lot of news, it's too depressing. So I fully admit I might have missed some statements on this stuff. Anyway, this is Ask Me Anything. And sometimes we are overwhelmed with questions, and sometimes we don't have very many. I think this is one of those days we don't have very many. I also suspect some people have started traveling for Easter and Passover and some of the religious holidays this year. And so they might have already checked out, which is okay too. Oh, it wasn't last week. It was early March. It was the U.S. Supreme Court. Yeah, I am not staying on top of that news since it's generally too depressing. So, yeah, not sure what they decided. but I'm not making AI art. So if it's really only about art, then it doesn't affect me. I guess I can look this up. I guess the easiest way would be to ask Claude to look this up because I don't even know what I'm looking for. Um, let's see. I will ask it. What did the Supreme Court of the United States decide in 2026 related to copywriting things made by AI? Please search the web. Ana Lucia says, "This isn't this a whole can of worms? Imagine companies using AI to generate designs and logos. Now they can't go against anyone who uses their stuff. They can't own it. That is possible." Okay, here's what Claude found. Supreme Court decision March 2. What they decided, they declined to hear Thaler versus Perlmutter, which means they left the lower court ruling in place. The ruling that stands. AI cannot be an author under copyright law. Human authorship is required for copyright protection. Works created solely by AI are not copyrightable. They enter the public domain immediately. The case. Dr. Stephen Thaler created an AI system called DABUS, also called the Creativity Machine. AI autonomously created an artwork, a recent entrance to paradise. Thaler applied for a copyright listing as author the AI as the author and himself as the owner. The Copyright Office rejected it for lacking human authorship. The district court affirmed human authorship is a bedrock requirement. The circuit court affirmed it, and the Supreme Court declined to hear it. So, what does this mean? Works that are not copyrightable. AI generates it autonomously, no human prompting, editing, selection, pure AI output. Works that are copyrightable. Human prompts AI, human selects or edits the output, human makes creative decisions, sufficient human contribution. But the gray area, Copyright Office says prompts alone aren't enough. You need more human involvement, selection, editing, arrangement, and creative direction. Yeah, what's sufficient? I don't know. The wild implications, massive new public domain. All purely AI generated content is public domain. Anyone can use or remix AI outputs. Streaming platforms, Spotify and YouTube can promote AI music with zero royalties. No copyright means no payment to creators. Extremely attractive economically. OpenAI Sora shutdown makes more sense, says Claude. AI generated video, not copyrightable. Disney couldn't own the AI generated content anyway. Why invest in something you can't copyright? So Claude is connecting this to Sora shutting down because the AI generated video wouldn't be copyrightable, but it sounds like it might be if there's enough human involvement beyond the prompt. I think if you just prompt it and say, "Oh, show me Snow White walking through a modern city," and then it generates that and you don't do anything about it, that is not your copyright. If I'm understanding this correctly, and I might not be because I'm not a lawyer. So, yeah, sounds like a lot of gray areas and weirdness here still to be tested and understood, but it seems like. Uh, Fully AI stuff that doesn't have human involvement can't be copyrighted, which means anybody can steal it and reuse it because you're not stealing it. Ana Lucia says, "What's sufficient in this case? Seems like a legal headache because they can be sued." Yeah, that's always where vague language gets a lot of people in trouble. You never want vague language in a contract or an agreement or things like that because then someone interprets it differently later. So you always want clear language in a contract. And here, This is not clear. Let me ask Claude a follow up question. Um, the idea of sufficient human intervention sounds really vague. Did you find any guidelines for that? And Claude says it is vague, and that's the problem. The Copyright Office says prompts alone are insufficient. Prompts are just instructions that convey unprotectable ideas. Current AI tech doesn't offer enough control and predictability in outputs, but they don't define sufficient. In the pending case, the plaintiff used 600 prompts to refine an AI generated image, and the Copyright Office still rejected it. So apparently, 600 iterative prompts isn't sufficient human contribution. Disney would hate to be sued because someone thought their involvement was insufficient. Yeah. Claude continues saying, legal experts are saying nobody is providing guidance on how much human contribution is required, best practice, careful documentation of human contribution. Nobody knows where the line is. Um, but what's not enough? Zero prompts, single prompt, 600 prompts. Who knows? Claude says we might have to wait years and all kinds of lawsuits for this to unfold and for us to understand what's going on. So, yeah, big unknown in the legal universe. No surprises there. Ana Lucia says, let's imagine Company X uses AI. Maybe they use Replit or Lovable to generate their designs. So they simply can be stolen because of this. Yeah, and that's really the open question, and even a question I raise in my Atomic Product Market Fit book, which is we're already seeing some of those gray areas where an AI company might even say, hey, we own this. Our tool made this for you. Okay, you asked for it. How nice for you. But our tool made this. Our tool did the work. Our tool did the labor and task and effort that you couldn't do without us. So we own that. And our terms of service says we're not giving you the rights to it, even if you're a paid customer. That's possible. I don't know if it's happening out there, but I think that is legally possible for someone to write that sort of terms of service. I mean, we've seen so much weird terms of service even in the last 5 or 10 years. Who remembers some of the photo sharing companies that were trying to compete against Instagram until people read the terms of service and it said, we own your photos forever and we can do whatever we want for them with them. I think Flickr started selling mugs and shirts with people's pictures on it and people weren't making any money from it, and it was like, yeah, our terms of service says we co-own your pictures and we can do this without paying you. So you never know. Don't be surprised of what's been snuck into terms of service. Ana Lucia says, isn't this a red flag companies should be aware of? I mean, they want to replace designers with AI, and now copyright laws won't be on their side anymore. Will they keep on this track if they knew? So I don't know. Here's the thing. You might want to copyright a design. You might want to say, this design is so unique. It's totally ours. We copyright it. We don't want anyone to copy it or rip it off. Okay, cool. But what have you really copyrighted? Because you haven't copyrighted the feature or what the thing does. A copyright might not cover that. A copyright is usually a work of art or literature, um, usually, but not always. So, because again, I'm not a lawyer. So that would be the question. Even if you copyrighted your website, and many of us have copyright notices on our website, we're just hoping people don't steal our general design and our text. But what about a company that puts out features and functions? What stops people from stealing that, especially if it's made by AI? And especially if the AI company says, hey, our tool made that, so we own it or co own it. These are all gray areas, I think I'm not sure anybody really knows for sure just yet. I certainly don't. I can't tell people, oh, yeah, here's what you do about that. Everything's fine. No, everything's not fine. We have no idea what the law is, how it's going to interpret anything, and whose side they're going to be on. It can sometimes depend who's even on the Supreme Court. When they change who's on the Supreme Court, then of course they vote differently, which means they change the laws and how they're interpreted. So all of this is really just like a mountain of unknowns. And I think it's conversations that people should be having. Teams should have these conversations. Uh, companies should have these conversations with their lawyers. Lucia says if they create design systems with AI, they can be screwed. I think this is gray area at the moment. It's a liability. Yeah, I think there are more questions here than we know how to answer. And I can't tell you the right thing here. I'm not a lawyer, but it also sounds like you could get 10 lawyers and they'll tell you 10 different things because all of this is about interpretation and it's still uh cases that are still being heard and things that are still being designed. So if they're claiming you need sufficient human intervention and iteration, but yet someone who had 600 prompts to iterate couldn't get a copyright, I don't know. I would rather have a human doing that stuff with some AI support just in case. Yeah, and again, and we don't even know the legalities of that. We don't know if someone's going to say, "Well, AI helped you with that, so the AI company partially owns it." There's stuff we don't know, and we've got to get lawyers and legal teams involved so that we can try to protect ourselves and our products and services, and especially if we're a small business. And Dr. Nick says he will be here next week. So super. Thank you, Dr. Nick. Anyway, not too sure what else we can say about that because it's law stuff and I'm no expert there. And I think even the experts aren't sure. So it's an interesting topic. I'm sure it's one that we're going to see evolving. Keep keep half an eye on that one. And hello to the people watching on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining. If you have a question or something you want to talk about, you can put it in the chat or you can ask it anonymously at dcx.to. If it comes in after I end the stream, we'll answer it next week. Ana Lucia says, I'm not an expert either. I'm just worried because it may have repercussions. Oh, absolutely. It'll certainly have repercussions. And especially if AI companies continue to be desperate about how they're going to make money, they might get desperate and say, oh, by the way, you didn't notice this, but our terms of service say we actually own the stuff we make for you. So guess what? Super great unknown area. Still, we are still newborns here trying to figure out what this all is and what it means and where it's going. I don't know and I can't guess. I always hope that courts and lawyers and other people will protect artists and creators and writers, but they don't always. Would companies jump off the ship? I don't know. I think companies are enjoying AI too much and the benefits they like to pretend they're getting from it to jump off the ship. They probably would think that their lawyers will figure out some way to protect them. I do not know if companies would be smart enough to slow down or press pause or any of that. Look, would you keep using Claude if Anthropic said they now own your research insights? Yeah, I wouldn't, but I'm a smart person who's paying attention. I can't speak for companies that are greedy or egotistical, or assume their lawyers can defeat anything, or assume that their money and bank account can defeat anything. I don't know. I can't, I never assume that just because there's good information and a good reason for companies to stop and pause and research and consider and talk to lawyers, I never assume that companies will do that just because they should. I would jump the ship. I'm not giving up my hard work. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I have the paid Claude account, and I have training turned off, and I have memory turned off. Thank you, Shady Joker, for following on Twitch. Um, these are things that I've got turned off. I don't want Claude to train on my content, and I turned off the memory feature because I don't want one Claude chat to see another chat. I want it to always be fresh and separated, especially if I might have a chat with work or something in there that I wouldn't want even other Claude chats to see. So, these are some of those perks of having the paid account. By the way, peeps, I've got a course coming up where I'm going to be teaching you how I use AI in qualitative research, problem finding, and problem solving. And it is designed for everybody. You don't have to be a researcher, though it helps. Check out dcx.to/courses. I've got that course coming up, as well as another Life After Tech cohort for people who are thinking about leaving technology or corporate work. It doesn't have to be tech, or for people who are worried they are not going to get another job in corporate or tech and would like to start thinking about what might be next. So there's nothing in my Life After Tech book or content or course that says you have to quit your job. No. If you have a job, keep it if you can, and start planning and planting seeds for what's coming next. So check out the courses, and they're also linked from the main page at dcx.to, in case that's all you remember. dcx.to. That'll get you everywhere. Oh, mm, ooh, crackle, crackle. And for those of you keeping track, this morning was my last antibiotic dose for my tonsillitis. Doing better. Um, Ana Lucia says Perplexity's CEO today was just great. AI layoffs are a good thing because people don't even like their jobs. Oh, did Perplexity CEO keep saying really weird things like, "Hey, we're going to make a browser that snoops on you, okay?" Yeah, it's so strange when people try to take something that is not good and frame it in a good way. Like, hey, I don't have a job and I can't find a job. Well, that's okay because, like, you probably didn't even like your last job so much, right? Okay, sure. There's things I didn't love about my last job, but I'd like to have a job. I'd like to have the possibility of a job. I don't want to have no job, and especially because of AI, whatever that represents any given day. Yeah, Ana Lucia says you may not like your job, but you need to pay your bills either way. Yeah, and Life After Tech, my book reminds us that we might not love our jobs, but that's okay because work is about work. Work is about doing something that you at least can tolerate, that makes some money and brings some sort of comfort and stability into your life so that you have enough money to survive and pay your bills and hopefully save up a little bit and free your mind for the things, excuse me, that really make you happy. Your job does not have to be your life purpose. It doesn't have to be your life calling. Gosh, I remember doing UX work for a company that sold home warranties. Home warranties are notoriously sketchy. Was I fulfilling my life purpose working on that website? No. Did I do a great job? Yes. Did I get paid? Sure. Did I keep that money? Yes. It didn't have to be my life purpose and my fulfillment and my reason for being. That can come outside of whatever job I'm doing. Oh, are they? I honestly don't know. I don't know what that's in reference to. We have a slight delay. Oh, are they what? Oh, home warranties? Yeah, so home warranties can be sketchy, not always, but home warranties can be sketchy because sometimes everything's covered except the problem you have, or everything's covered, but you have to use this repair person and they have to be dispatched by this person, and you have to be home these times, and you might have to pay extra for this. There's a lot of weird, sketchy things in there, but this job just had to do with um, understanding that there were repairs that need to be done and matching them to people who were going to go do the repair. So it was the not sketchy side of that business, but there's definitely some sketchy stuff in home warranties. A lot of times they don't cover things people assume they do. As always, people don't read the fine print. And then they get surprised later that, oh, my water heater exploded. Oh, it's not covered. Okay, why not? It's like when we had a lot of our stuff stolen in September, we finally took a closer look at our insurance policies, and then we realized what was covered and what wasn't. And some of our stuff was covered by insurance policy. So we did get some money for the things that we lost. But different insurance companies approached things differently. We had three insurance companies. One gave us money for the replacement cost of the thing. So, what does it cost today to buy that again? That's the money they gave us. One insurance company gave us the value of the things. They asked us what year we bought everything that was stolen, and they depreciated its value and then gave us that money. So, not the money we would need to replace it, but the money is if we sold it on eBay today. And then a third company gave us what we paid the mechanic to fix our vehicle minus 10% franquigia deductible. So you have three insurance companies doing things three different ways, and none of them cover a bicycle. And so nobody paid for our stolen bicycles. And so a lot of times we don't even know what's covered until we read that fine print. So now when I've been looking at insurance and all these other things, I get a copy of the contract, and I feed it into Claude, and I say, read this contract. I'm going to ask you questions about it, and I'm going to ask you to quote where in the contract it says this. Okay, you're looking at an insurance policy for a bicycle. Does it cover this if my bicycle is locked in front of a supermarket? Oh, this policy would, but this policy wouldn't. Okay, tell me more. Yeah, this policy wouldn't cover your bicycle because it'll only cover a bicycle that's stolen from a locked storage facility. No, I sometimes park my bike and lock it in front of a supermarket. I need the policy that covers my bike there. So now I'm asking Claude to look for these things, give me chapter and verse so that I can go and double check what it's saying is or isn't in the policy. Because it'll say, oh, yeah, page 33, line 6,509, it says this. And I can say, oh, okay. So, yeah. So, insurance, funky, lots of it, super funky. And Claude can help, but I wouldn't just take Claude's answer. I would say, show me where in the policy it says this, quote it exactly. I'll look at the policy and make sure that's really in there and you didn't hallucinate it. And then I can know for sure if I've got the policy that I need, because I don't want to buy the bike insurance policy that doesn't cover my bike being stolen if it ever gets stolen again. Because I did buy another bike to replace my bike, even though no insurance reimbursed me for it. It was just a loss and lots of anger. So yeah. Well, this is Ask Me Anything because we were all over the place today. Let's see, we've covered let's see, Claude's blunder, copywriting AI works, Perplexity's CEO said weird things, and insurance can be sketchy. And we're running out of time since I usually stay here for about an hour in case people have questions about life or work or anything they want my opinion on or want me to discuss. Hey, it's totally free, and I'm here to try to help you with some advice or opinions or perspectives, and hopefully I'm helping. No April Fool's pranks here. Let me check our calendar and let everybody know what's coming up on the show. Though, of course, you can always check the events calendar, dcx.to slash events. Uh, we've got next Tuesday. Next Tuesday will not be a live stream here because the first Tuesday of every month, which will be next week, is in our Discord only. Our Discord is free to join. dcx.to slash discord, but every Tuesday, instead of live streaming here, we do a free portfolio resume CV review in our event hall, first come first served, totally free. So if you want some review help there and some mentorship and guidance, come join our Discord server. We've got about 700 people. It's an active place with lots of discussions about life and work, and it's free. So that's where we'll be next Tuesday. We won't be live here because that is not recorded and shared. Of course, next Wednesday will be Ask Us Anything since we'll have Dr. Nick here. And then starting Saturday the 11th is my course on excellent research and using AI. So I hope people will check that out. Ana Lucia says, you know who was also sketchy? People. Okay, that's pretty broad. So, Portugal has a relief program for people who were involved in the storms to repair their roofs and stuff like that. Guess what happened? Well, if it's anything like what happens in America, there's usually someone who fakes that they were affected by the storm and gets some sort of bailout money that they usually don't have to repay. And so there's a lot of fraud around that. So, yes, people love fraud. People love every edge they can get. I think you can take an edge, but I draw the line at an edge that's illegal. If there's some little advantage you can work out for yourself, cool. But if that advantage is illegal, and especially if it hurts others, like, oh, you got the storm money and someone else didn't and they lived through the storm, that's not okay. I think I'll wind down for today. But thanks for the conversation and some of the wacky, interesting topics we've kind of stumbled on. I'm here every Wednesday if people want to talk about work, life, or anything else. Ana Lucia says exactly. They defrauded the fund. They came out in public to say over 90% of the people lied or used AI to fake damage to their houses. Ooh, that's some advanced fraud. Interesting. Not surprised. Again, thanks for coming to the Ask Me Anything show. We do these every week just so that you have a way to get some free help or advice or opinions if you would like it. Totally up to you. Make of it what you will. So I'll be back next Wednesday with Dr. Nick if you would like to have two people's opinions. Tuesday, I'll see everybody in Discord for portfolios and resume and CV reviews. Totally free. Hey, join the community. And everybody, if you're doing Passover or Easter or any other holidays over the coming days, have fun, eat some good chocolate, and have a good weekend. Thanks.